Obafemi, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov. These are just some of the few names of guys that deserve to be in the main event scene of WWE, to join the ranks of Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. So why aren't they? Well, it isn't for a lack of trying. You see, WWE has a main event problem. What is going on, my little tortilla chips, and welcome back to Nacho Wrestling. Now, I know you may see the title of this video and you might think that I'm just gonna shit on WWE and their main event scene the entire time, and that's only part of it. See, I actually quite like a lot of the younger stars that WWE has on their roster, from the guys I mentioned in the cold open to guys all the way down in NXT like Jackson Drake and Saquon Sugars. Not only are we going to talk about these newer superstars and why they deserve a chance to be in the main event scene, we're also going to look at why they haven't gotten the chance yet. So before we get into the first chapter, as always, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to stay up to date on all things Nacho Wrestling so you never miss an upload. And without further ado, let's get into chapter 1. What exactly do I mean by a good problem? Well, there are problems that arise that are issues and everything like that, but then there are problems that happen because of other things and they kind of turn out to be okay. In this case for WWE, it's a good problem that they have so many great talents on their roster, from the main event to the mid-card to even people that just don't get an opportunity and are sitting in catering waiting for their chance. I mean, if we're being honest, maybe the pure level of wrestling isn't there like it was during the SmackDown Live era of 2016 or even the great SmackDown 6 era from the mid-2000s, but pure talent, pure charisma, whatever you want to label it, is still there today. On top of the sheer amount of talent that WWE has, they also are killing it when it comes to endorsement deals and advertisements. Yeah, the ring and the tables even that they use during tables matches may look like shit and eyesores, but that's money in their pocket, and that's really the biggest thing for them, which we'll touch on. With this comes a lot of attention online. This could be good, bad, or anything in between. For example, the most recent Saturday night's main event that they had in Madison Square Garden was, I believe, their most watched Saturday night's main event, purely because they had a tie-in with the New York Knicks and Finals MVP Jalen Brunson, and a surprise appearance from Karl Anthony Towns, also a member of the New York Knicks for anyone that doesn't watch basketball. There is, of course, the other end of the spectrum where you have celebrities that really none of the wrestling fans care for, like, oh god, what's his name? Jelly Roll! Yeah, Jelly Roll. Fuck that guy. Stay 10 feet away, 100 feet away, 1,000 feet away. Just don't come to my wrestling shows anymore, Jelly Roll. Thank you. Your music is for meth heads. The last thing I want to talk about is how WWE has a talent pipeline of sorts. They have a clear path from the WWE ID program to evolve to NXT to the main roster. That does work for a lot of superstars. Guys like Obafemi, guys like Javon, guys like Jackson Drake even, are clearly rising through the ranks the right way, and the way that WWE wants them to. So if this talent pipeline is a clear path, why isn't it working? More importantly, why is the main event so barren of new talent? See, the lack of main eventers that are coming up through the ranks and really establishing their spots with guys like Roman, guys like Cody, and so on and so forth, is because it's WWE's fault. They seem to have an allergicness, whatever you want to call it. They seem to be a little scared to put all their chips in one basket, or kind of give the big one, give a big win to a guy like Obafemi, an unproven star, if you will. But this is no different than what WWE used to do by giving the ball to Randy Orton or John Cena back in the mid-2000s and saying, "You're the guy now, go do it," or even Dave Bautista or Brock Lesnar. Like, the OVW class of 2002 arguably was given the ball and told to run with it pretty immediately. But rather than simply blaming this nebulous entity that is the WWE, I want to pin the blame on 4 guys specifically. Not the 4 horsemen, but the 4 main eventers of WWE right now. And that is, of course, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes. You see, these 4 guys have been the main attraction for WWE in some way, shape, or form or pairing since Punk's return to WWE at War Games just a few short years ago. Whether it was Punk feuding with Rollins, or Rollins feuding with Punk, or Rollins feuding with Rhodes, or Rhodes and Reigns feuding, or a triple threat feud between three of them, at some point they're going to run out of combinations, and they're just going to do one big fatal four-way feud. Actually, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. But why do they still occupy these top spots, you may be asking yourself, or asking me? Well, I don't know why you're asking me that. I don't really know. But we can actually look at the reason that they're occupying these top spots is because WWE is going to more likely reward proven draws, people that they know are going to help get the company more money. And those four are proven draws. Now, this is not to say that they don't reward new guys that make an impact, like an Obafemi, like a Javon Evans, or like a Penta coming in and slowly but surely making his way to the Intercontinental title. They still reward new guys and new roster members. That is not something that I'm trying to deny. But what I am trying to say is that they don't do it the same way they used to do it. See, look at John Cena, for example. John Cena won the US title in 2005, and then a year later in 2006, I might have my years a little wrong there, but one year at WrestleMania, he wins the United States title. The next year, he's winning the WWE title. There was a clear line of progression there. I mean, hell, the same thing could be said for the guys that are main eventers right now. They took a chance on Seth, and they took a chance on Roman, even though at one point no one really wanted Roman near the main event scene, let alone contending for the main event scene. My point in bringing all this up is that WWE's talent pipeline does work. There are really good examples of it working within the men and women's division. But they seem to plateau around the upper mid-card level. Why? So this label of upper mid-card is where guys like Dom, Penta, Sami Zayn, and even Gunther to an extent these days sit. Because while all these guys are great, they still seem to hover around the United States or Intercontinental title scene. Or in Gunther's case, they're given something that they would label above world title, like retiring John Cena and AJ Styles, but then not capitalizing on that in any way, shape, or form by having them be a legitimate threat to the undisputed champion or the world heavyweight champion. He seems very much like an afterthought compared to the four guys that we're really looking at. These mid-card titles, and even the tag titles for some, have become more like waiting rooms than stepping stones. I mean, look at the example of Randy Orton and John Cena that I talked about earlier. Randy Orton's case, he was Intercontinental Champion with Evolution until he was given the big gold belt and everything like that, and it worked out well for him. They're given an opportunity to show WWE, show the top brass that they can do what they're supposed to do. They can hold it down as a champion. See, it's a simple evolution. No, not that evolution. It's a clear progression, a clear path for these wrestlers to take in order to get to the top. And if we're being honest, that entire class of OVW wrestlers from 2002, I'm talking Brock, I'm talking Randy, I'm talking Dave, I'm talking John, all four of those guys are probably the best example of how to bring in a new star, test the waters with the new star, and then really rocket strap them to the top. The only one that really skipped over everything and went straight to the main event scene was Brock Lesnar, but that was because in WWE's eyes at the time, Brock Lesnar was ready for the main event scene, unlike the other three. Flash forward today, we have some great talent. We have guys like Javon Evans, Carmelo Hayes, Obafemi, Ilya Dragunov, Jackson Drake, Saquon Sugars. I could keep going on and on about all the great talent that WWE has at their disposal that they aren't using correctly because instead they have to shove Danhausen down our throat. And where the fuck is all this talent coming from? Are they coming from the indies? Are they coming from Evolve and NXT? Well, yeah, they are, because HBK is producing more talent than WWE knows what to do with. NXT and to a lesser extent Evolve are creating stars left and right. Don't believe me? Let's look at some of the names that have been on WWE main roster programming that have come from NXT. Girls like Blake Monroe, Tiffany Stratton, JC Jane, and the rest of Fatal Influence. Obafemi, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, just to name a few. I could keep going on and on about how many stars have risen up the ranks. And even OG talent. Guys like Sami Zayn, guys like Kevin Owens, guys like the Street Profits, girls like Charlotte, girls like Bayley, girls like Becky Lynch, all made their names for themselves in NXT. So NXT is proven to work as a developmental organization. And honestly, this is where I want to give credit to NXT and their amount of women's wrestlers that they're able to produce. Girls like JC Jane, Tiffany Stratton, Blake Monroe, Tatum Paxley, Sol Ruka, so more, Zarya, all of these girls are really good in the ring. They kind of get the business more than the new guys that are coming into NXT. That's why I think WWE, for the men's division at least, is looking more towards the indie scene than they are looking at, D1 football players or D1 wrestlers who kind of like have an interest in it. See, like I mentioned earlier, the pipeline is working. It's creating new stars, it's creating new people, and it's helping these indie wrestlers hone their WWE style of wrestling. It's helping these D1 athletes become no longer D1 athletes and become wrestlers and WWE superstars. So it's working in that sense because Evolve, of course, is the first place they test the WWE style out. NXT is where they really start to develop who they are as a character, who they are as a performer for the WWE, and it works. It really works. I think the best example is someone that has risen from WWID to Evolve to NXT. Let's be honest, is Jackson Drake of Vanity Project. Jackson Drake, North Carolina-based wrestler, trained at Firestar Pro Wrestling, got signed to the WWE ID program, was the first ever Evolve Men's Champion, and then dropped the Evolve Men's Championship, made his way over to the NXT main roster with the rest of Vanity Project. And the Vanity Project are current tag team champions for NXT. So they are proven to work in the talent pipeline, if you will. The main problem lies when these guys come up to the main roster. And this isn't because, like back in the day, NXT would lose a body and they'd have to come up with someone new to take that spot, because they could easily find an indie wrestler that's on the ID program or someone on Evolve and just bring them up to NXT. It's not that NXT loses a body. I want to stress that. It's that main roster gains another one on the already massive heap of superstars they have lying around at Triple H's disposal. You see, so much talent and so little amount of actual wrestling to showcase them is the biggest issue here. You look at how there's only 2 to 3 matches on an episode of Raw, 3 to 4 matches on an episode of SmackDown, and then you have to wonder, well, where would this person fit in if they come up to main roster? How often would they be on TV? Are they better off staying in NXT for a long period of time before an actual spot opens up for them? It leads to a bunch of questions. It's why I kind of like that Dom is over down in AAA, and he's like the top guy in AAA. He is the AAA Mega Champion. So he gets treated like $1 million there, and then when he comes back to Raw, he's kind of still in the mid-card, which is fine because Dom's not really ready for the main event of WWE.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I know I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for that. I like Dom. I just don't think Dom is ever going to really reach the potential that his dad had. Calling a spade here. There truly is only one answer to why it is the way it is in WWE. And yes, the easy answer is to blame TKO and say, oh, the business practices of TKO and Ari Emanuel are the problem and everything like that. Yeah, sure, and that would be the end of the video. Thanks for sticking around, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But no, that's not really what it is. See, the bigger issue is that WWE is not incentivized to fix this problem. What exactly do I mean by this? Well, I think the best comparison or best analogy I can come up with is that WWE, Triple H, TKO is like Eugene Krabs in the OG SpongeBob movie. Why did Eugene build the Krusty Krab 2 next to the other Krusty Krab? Because he likes money. Why do WWE constantly book Roman versus Seth, the Shield lore? Why do they constantly rehash Roman and Cody, or Seth and Cody, or Seth and Punk? Because they like money. It's why WWE's top priority isn't the wrestling, it's the merchandise sales, it's the advertisements, it's everything in between. They don't see their fans as wrestling fans, they see their fans as dollar signs. And when they use these recognizable stars, when they kind of milk these cows dry of everything they're worth, it creates a paradox of sorts. See, WWE can build up these stars and then use them till the wheels fall off. But then when you use them till the wheels fall off and you don't build up any other new stars, you enter a dull period. You go from boom period to dull period for a long period of time, then back to a boom period. It's sort of a never-ending cycle of like a snake eating its own head. It's just going in a circle constantly because WWE doesn't understand that you have to build up fresh stars like every couple of years. Like Oba should probably not be fighting Brock for the third time. Oba should probably be doing something within the world title, but they weren't ready to pull the trigger on him. And I understand, maybe Roman didn't want to work him, right? Whatever. Maybe they're all just jealous that Oba is getting super over and everything like that. And you know what? That's their issue to figure out. I'm not here to talk about the politics of wrestling.
Let me tell you something about politics, dude.
But it's similar to how Mania 39, Mania 40, the build up to Cody's big win, Cody finishing the story, was a boom period for WWE. How did they capitalize on that? They capitalized on it by milking Cody for everything he's worth, getting everything they could out of him, so that by the time we got to WrestleMania 41, no one gave a shit anymore. Everyone was tired of it. Everyone was ready for John Cena to do his final run. And everyone was ready to watch that instead. And then you could have used that to build up a lot of new stars. You could have used that, and you did. You built up Gunther. Gunther retired John Cena, made John Cena quit, made John Cena tap out. He didn't tap out, he passed out. But you know what I mean. He was supposed to be this next level big bad, the new Brock Lesnar of sorts. And now he's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Gunther feels like a chemically castrated puppy. It doesn't really hit the same. And maybe it's when he lost to Jay at Mania 41. I'm not sure. But it's just ever since the John Cena, AJ Styles retiring for Gunther, he should be this world killer, this planet destroyer. And he's not. Plain and simple. And when you get into this catch-22, this paradox of never building up people, you have to ask yourself, well, what do we have for them now? Not much, because you were too busy heating bloodline nachos over and over and over again, to the point where even your most diehard fans are tired of seeing the fucking bloodline. This is why I think the recent Roman and Seth feud feels like such a drag, because even the most diehard of WWE fans are tired of hearing about the Shield Lord, the Shield Chair, the Shield Fist, the Shield Bomb. It gets to a point where you don't need to be hit over the head with it anymore. We are seeing this all happen before our very eyes, if you ask me. And I know you didn't ask, but if you're watching and you're this far into the video, maybe you were curious. Who knows? Or you just fell asleep, whatever. Thanks for the watch time, by the way. My final point is really just that you need to have balance. Like the Thanos knife that he gave to Gamora, it needs to be perfect. It needs to be an ebb and flow, if you will. Yin and yang, whatever you want to call it. There needs to be balance, like I said. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what happens next for the WWE. I could sit here and say that they're gonna, lose their top 4 stars that they have now, but they're not going to lose them all at the same time, because wrestling legends do retire. They don't all retire at the same time. Punk may go for 5 more years, Cody may go for 4, Seth may go for 6, and Roman will probably go for 2, because Roman thinks he's going to be a huge major Hollywood actor. Probably not. But I want to use this chapter to really look at who are some of the people in WWE that have the next spot in line to be the main event. And if you've been watching this entire video, you've heard their names. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Oba Femi. I'm talking about Javon Evans, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov. Although I've been seeing reports that Ilya might be done with WWE when his contract's up, so I'm not sure about that. Even the women as well. Who's next up for the women's division? You have Lola Vice, you have Blake Monroe, you have JC Jane and Fatal Influence, Sol Ruka, Zarya. All of them are going to be part of this next major era for WWE if WWE uses them correctly and realizes that they have to pull the trigger at some point on giving these people an opportunity. I mean, they did it with Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany, it worked for her. She's got a huge following now. People love Tiffany Stratton. But they kind of did it backwards with her. They had her win the Money in the Bank, then cash in and become women's champion, and now she's United States champion. They sort of flip-flopped it. Doesn't really make sense there. But in terms of the nebulous pipeline for WWE and what's next for that, I think there are two ways or two things that they could do to really fix it. Either A, you extend the runtime of Raw and SmackDown, which I know it's crazy, but if I can sit through a 5-hour AEW Redemption pay-per-view, you can sit through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. And this doesn't necessarily mean more matches, but more incorporation of different stars, new stars, getting a fresh rotation of people in the mix, so it's not just the same 4 or 5 talents on the show every week. Or B, and the more likely option, is that they're going to go back to doing the COVID era style cuts, where we see people that were literally on TV a week or 2 weeks ago get cut from the company because they need to make room for the people that they truly have faith in. It's a fucked up business practice, but it did help shed some of the weight and allow some wrestlers to go hone their craft somewhere else, like a New Japan, like an AEW, like a TNA, like a CMLL, or just go on the plain old indie circuit. My final plea is to the guys at the top, the 4 guys in the thumbnail of this video: Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. I think you guys really need to understand that you gotta leave the game before it leaves you. Know when to fully embrace being a part-time wrestler. It's something that Roman learned very early on during the Tribal Chief stuff, which, yeah, you could also attribute it to he was immunocompromised and he didn't want to be traveling to Florida or to the shows for, COVID era wrestling all the time. But it's also why that return graphic that we would see every month for Roman during the early days of Tribal Chief worked so well, or became a meme, if you will. Like I said, the most simple way I can put it is to just leave the game before it leaves you. Know when to take a step back, know when to hand over the torch. Don't have to make someone come and forcefully grab the torch out of your hand. Know when it's time to pass it on. Well, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. Do you think WWE is facing a main event issue, or do you think their main event scene is perfectly fine, having 4 guys be the center of it and no one else be involved? Like I said, let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date on all things Nacho Wrestling, and I will see you guys next time.